So today we're going to go over the PVS-14. Now TNVC and night goggles sell quite a few different types of PVS-14. The primary difference between any of those different PVS-14 models that you might see is really the type and the spec of image intensifier tube that goes into that device. That being said, today I'm not really going to go into all of the difference between the different types of image intensifier tubes. We've got some other videos and some other videos coming that kind of dial down the differences between the tubes. Today, I really just want to talk to you about the device. So the TNV PVS-14 and NGI PVS-14s are all based upon the US military's AN PVS-14. So the AN/ designation that a lot of you guys have probably seen, that's actually based on DoD's Joint Electronics Type Designation System nomenclature. So that's what that AN/PVS means, and then obviously 14 is the model number. So the PVS-14, is probably the most ubiquitous night vision device out there on the market. It is what we recommend that most people start with, and even if you are eventually going to get a dual tube system, it never hurts to have a PVS-14. So you can see it's a very small, compact device. It's developed in the late 1990s by a company called ITT, which is the company that has now become Elbit Systems of America Night Vision in Roanoke, Virginia. It's gone through several company names and changes in management since then, but the main facility has always been there in Roanoke. And then again, was adopted, was developed and adopted in the late 1990s as a successor to the AN PVS-7, which is a biocular device. And like I said, you can see that it is a small, compact device, weighs about 10 to 12 ounces, depending on whether or not you've got the J-arm attached, the weight of the different optics. There are certain optic options that you can have with it. But they actually, one of the original names for it was also the pocket scope. So you can see it could theoretically fit into a cargo pocket if you wanted to. This is a standard night vision device for Army and Marine Corps infantry, as well as a good part of the DoD for over 2 decades. These days, there are systems like the ENVG-B and some other systems that are beginning to be fielded and coming online that are replacing a lot of the PVS-14s that were in frontline use, but there are still hundreds of thousands, if not millions of PVS-14s still out there, not just within the US DoD, law enforcement, commercial hands, international users. So the PVS-14, really, we've said before, and you may have heard it before, it's like the AR-15, it's like the Glock 19 of night vision devices. So going over the actual features of the PVS-14 a little bit, the modern PVS-14s are powered by a single AA battery. There are some older variants that use a dual battery compartment, as well as some aftermarket components that I have opinions about that we don't carry. That can use CR123s or some other alternate power sources. But the primary variant is this single AA battery compartment. And a thing about analog night vision technology and PVS-14 is extremely power efficient. So that single 1.5 volt lithium AA battery is going to power this thing for about 40 hours at normal room temperatures. Obviously, temperature fluctuations can affect battery life a little bit, but you got to think about that. You got to think about like a Surefire flashlight or something like that. How long is it lasting on a single battery compared to a Gen 3 night vision device? So you can see it's got a polymer housing. The main components of really any night vision device are going to be the image intensifier tube that's inside of this device, the objective lens, which is how you set your focal distance to the outside world, your ocular or diopter focus, which is going to focus that device and focus the image from that tube to your eye, and then some sort of power supply. So you can see the battery compartment and the on-off switch. PVS-14 is a manual gain system, so that means that you can adjust the brightness of the device. Really what you're doing is you're adjusting how much the image intensifier tube is amplifying the light. Gain adjustment is done with this knob here on the front of the device. You got your power knob right here, then it's very simple. Click it over once to turn the device on. It's actually spring loaded. You can rotate it past on, and that will turn the infrared illuminator on momentarily, and then turn it off when you release it. Or if you want that illuminator to stay on, you could pull that knob and lock it in the on position. You can see the illuminator lens as well as the light sensor lens here in the front of the housing.